Do you have a dream car? Mine is the Lucid Air. Are you intrigued by electric vehicles? The Lucid Air EV has been called the best driving car in the world. And the Lucid Air Sapphire is certifiably the fastest production car in the world. Listen to Lucid Driver Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts or at luciddriver.buzzsprout.com.
Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate travelers. This is Paul, and welcome to this special episode pertaining solely to our 14-day Kenya and Egypt safaris, Great Pyramids, and Nile River Cruise bucket list trip. An unforgettable journey through the wilds of Kenya and the treasures of Egypt. Discover the legendary Maasai Mara Natural Reserve, the scene of the annual Great Migration. At Lake Nakuru, contemplate the amazing landscapes and spot diverse bird life before heading to Egypt to marvel at the Great Pyramids and experience the wonders of the Nile on a 4-night full-board river cruise. I hope we didn't accidentally get the passionate cruisers that the Joy of Cruising podcast typically draws, wanting to hear fascinating stories about passionate cruisers. There certainly is a cruise element to this trip, the 4-day Nile cruise, which we'll get to later. But this episode is specifically pertains to this mostly land trip to Africa led by The Joy of Vacation by Dream Vacations travel agency. Joining me today is a special guest, world traveler, the star associate in the Joy Vacation by Dream Vacations travel agency, and I call her Miss TikTok, my daughter Shornay. Besides keeping me straight and summarizing this amazing trip, she can provide her own perspective. I am both jealous of and proud of Shornay for having beat me to some bucket list locations, including the continent of Africa, even though I have been traveling for over 40 years. She also beat me to the land of fire and ice, Iceland, which I had booked out of Southampton late last year, but canceled as the air turned out to be more than the cruise was. I'll let her tell you more that I am jealous of in a minute. But first, hi, Sean.
Hi, Dad, or as I typically call you, Padre. Hi, everyone. I'm Shornay. I'm so excited to be here. I am a travel advisor with our family agency, The Joy of Vacation by Dream Vacations. And I essentially help people turn their bucket list travel ideas into real experiences. Travel has been a huge part of my life, and I just love sharing destinations that inspire people to explore the world.
So Sean, say a little bit about your travels. I kind of alluded to the fact that you beat me to some places.
Yep. So a little bit about me. As you know, I've been fortunate to travel to several incredible places over the years. I think I got the travel bug very early on when we used to travel as a family growing up. And that travel bug just never went away. I believe it was back in 2018 when I was heading to Bali, Indonesia. I decided that I was going to take a birthday trip, spur of the moment. A lot of my friends were not available because I am very spontaneous. And so when I say, hey, do you want to go to Bali in like 3 weeks? And nobody could join me, I decided to take a solo trip. And so that's really where my journey and even more passion for travel started. Um, and it's funny because the same day that I clicked submit on my Bali vacation was the same day that I got an invite to a wedding, which was taking place in India just 5 months later. So 2018 was just back to back travels. And I can't even say that I've stopped since then. I just really love to see the world. I love to explore different cultures. And I'm just so passionate about travel. Anytime I can open that up in conversation, and not even just because of the agency, but anytime I can talk about, some of the experiences that I've seen and then hear, about other passionate travelers and what they've seen and explored, it just lights me up. So, but to talk more about myself, I've seen, I want to say it's 16 countries at this point. I've got to check my app. I have this app that tracks everywhere that I've been. And so I think the latest number is 16 countries and counting. I have a few more on my list this year. But I've been everywhere from, as you mentioned, Iceland to the continent of Africa. You heard me say Bali and India. I took a solo trip to Honduras. No, actually, I took a solo trip to El Salvador. I went to Honduras. I mean, the list goes on. Costa Rica. I could be here all day, I feel like, if I dive into all of my travels. But anyway, very, very passionate about seeing the world.
Let me give you some background before we talk about this wonderful trip, because I recognize we may have a number of new listeners, given this episode is about specifically the Kenya-Egypt trip. So this podcast, The Joy of Cruising, came about 3 years ago so that I could speak with guests about the joy of cruising,
Mhm.
which is similar to a series of books I had written based on that same name. Our podcasts are 90% about cruising, but we have occasional episodes about land trips or about individuals who transcend cruising, travel icons we believe our listeners would appreciate hearing from. A couple of years ago, Cheryl, my wife, and I, along with Shornay, pursued a brand extension and started the Joy of Vacation travel agency. Sent out a letter to some friends, and we stated a vision of someday leading a group to the motherland. And we are proud to see this come to fruition.
Yeah, this is definitely exciting to go back to the motherland, but also to say it's with my family agency. A couple of years ago, this, as far as I knew, wasn't even a concept for us. But I would say ever since, we've gone into business, we've been full throttle. And so to take part in a trip that's across the world is going to be really exciting. I'm already counting down a year in advance. But yeah, it'll be my second time in the motherland and a different country, different countries. And so I'm already excited.
So let me start by giving you an overview of the 14 days Kenya and Egypt safaris, Great Pyramids, and Nile River Cruise, April 10th through April 24th, 2027 bucket list trip. And then I'll provide the detailed day by day itinerary. The trip includes round trip airfare from the United States, all accommodations in several locations in Kenya and a couple locations in Egypt, private tours, and many, many meals, virtually all breakfasts, many lunches, and some dinners. The cost is approximately $5,000 to $5,500 per person, double occupancy. Now, why do we say approximately? Well, it's because we are still far enough away from departure day that we do not yet have firm airfare. However, when we look at airfares for this same trip in April of 2026, a year before ours, and those airfares are, of course, available now, the cost of this trip, including air, is actually below 5,000. So we are pretty confident with the $5,000 to $5,500 range. Now, of course, that assumes economy airfare. And I will point out that the last several times we flew, uh, both international and domestic, we had to pay for seats, which seems to be the way airlines are moving. We recognize that this is a lot of money. If you are looking for a somewhat mechanized way that you can put a little away at a time towards your trip, we can help you with that. Exotica Travel, who is our supplier for this trip, uh, has put in a system which would enable you to pay as little as $100 at a time. It would just involve me sending you an Exotica payment link. And I can do that, every couple of days, as much as you want me to. So while you'll have to have the balance of your payment in approximately by the end of 2026, you don't have to wait until the last minute and come up with that balloon payment. You can chip away at it. So the trip begins with a flight arranged by us in conjunction with Exotica Travel from various U.S. cities to Nairobi, Kenya. While air is included, as I indicated, we do not yet have exact amounts. And even when rates become available, they will vary slightly dependent on the airport you leave from. But I can say that they will generally be lower the closer you are to the East Coast, as of course Africa is to the east of the US. So, for example, you might leave from New York, someone else might leave from somewhere in North Carolina. There might be a difference of $100 or so. Now, if you leave from inland, I have a friend and he's responsible for several people going on this trip. He'll be leaving from Texas, so that's going to be, a little more than an airport on the East Coast. We do require the air to be booked through us via Exotica Travel, and they can accommodate special situations such as, you might have pending air credits or other issues, but air has to be booked as part of this trip.
All right, so let's start with the itinerary beginning day 1, Saturday, April 10th, 2027. You arrive at your departure airport ready to check in for a flight to Nairobi. So you'll be spending the night on board. Day 2, Sunday, April 11th, you continue your journey to Kenya and Egypt. As there is a time difference, you may lose a day during the outward journey, but this will be recouped on your return trip back home. So don't worry, you are not in flight for 2 days.
Day 3, Monday, April 12th, we arrive at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi. Meet our guide and transfer to the hotel. This should be a very efficient process. Cheryl and I traveled to Dubai several months ago, also using Exotica Travel, and it was like clockwork. We arrived there, I believe it was in the middle of the night, and we immediately see our name in lights, and our name on a lighted sign, and they pick you up and take you to your hotel. You have the rest of the day off in the dynamic capital of Kenya, Nairobi, known as the Green City in the Sun. We recommend visiting the National Museum or one of the many markets for a taste of the local culture. Myself, I am looking forward to an authentic Nairobi restaurant. The trip I mentioned to you a while ago to Dubai, we went to a Nigerian restaurant there, and it was maybe the best restaurant I've ever been to. So I can't wait to try one in Nairobi. If anyone has any suggestions about things to do in Nairobi. I am all ears. So at the end of this discussion, I give my email. Please send me your ideas, and I can pass them on to the people who have signed up for this trip. And then we have an overnight stay in Nairobi.
We'll be right back.
The Joy Vacation by Dream Vacations invites you to join us on a bucket list adventure to Africa. We're going to Kenya and Egypt for 14 days, April 10th through April 24th, 2027. A week in Kenya, including safaris, and a week in Egypt, including the pyramids and a 4-day Nile River cruise. This adventure includes air from the U.S., all transfers, all accommodations, private tours, and many meals. $5,000 to $5,500, depending on air, per person. Double occupancy. Only $250 per person deposit due at booking. The remainder is not due until late 2026. For a detailed itinerary, online brochure, and to book, email me at pthornton, THORNTON, pthornton at dreamvacations.com.
So our accommodations in Nairobi is a bed and breakfast, a Beast Styles Nairobi Westlands, or equivalent. Exotica notes that hotel is dependent on availability and seasonality, so we may be assigned an alternative, just an FYI.
Day 4, Tuesday, April 13th. From Nairobi, we travel to the Lake Nakuru National Park. First, there's breakfast at the hotel, included, of course, and then we set off by road to Lake Nakuru National Park, a long trip, a journey of approximately 5.5 hours. We arrive at Lake Nakuru, an ornithological paradise worldwide known for its alkaline waters and a large population of flamingos, pelicans, and other migratory birds. We transfer to our lodge, arriving in time for lunch. In the afternoon, we set off on an exciting safari excursion for your chance to see lions, leopards, antelopes, black and white rhinos, I'm sorry, uh, hippos, and buffalo. We'll stop at the edge of the lake to capture some fantastic photographs of this emblematic pink-colored body of water. After that very busy day, we return to our new lodging, the Lake Nakuru Sopa Lodge, for dinner and overnight stay in Lake Nakuru.
So day 5 is going to be Wednesday, April 14th, and that starts with included breakfast at the hotel. After an informative safari introduction, it's set off by road to the famous Maasai Mara Natural Reserve, named after the unique Maasai tribe. It's the area and the Mara River that crosses it. Every year, it plays witness to the Great Migration, considered the 8th wonder of the natural world. So we arrive in time for lunch at your lodge, Mara Sopa Lodge, or its equivalent. And in the afternoon, we head out for your first game viewing drive in the famous Maasai Mara Reserve. Dinner and 2 overnight stays in the Maasai Mara.
Day 6, Thursday, April 15th, we'll have breakfast at the camp. Today, we embark on a full-day photographic safari in the Maasai Mara Natural Reserve to observe the largest concentration of wildlife in the world. In these plains, you can find herds of zebras, giraffes, and gazelles. And in the savannah, mighty lions dominate the environment, as well as hyenas and cheetahs crouched in the long grass. In the forested areas, you can watch hundreds of varieties of birds and monkeys, whilst the rivers are full of hippos and crocodiles, as well as elephants and buffalo. There is a picnic lunch included, and then we return to the camp for dinner and an overnight stay in the Maasai Mara.
So on day 7, Friday, April 16th, after breakfast at the hotel, we return to Nairobi, where you are free to enjoy the day at your leisure. Overnight stay in Nairobi at a Beast Styles Nairobi Westlands or equivalent, depending on the time flight departs to Cairo, Egypt. Day 8, Saturday, April 17th, after breakfast at the hotel, we transfer to the airport ready to check in for a flight to Cairo. So we touch down in Cairo and transfer to the hotel. Once you've settled in, the remainder of the day is free at your leisure to get to know the sights and the sounds of Cairo in the shadow of the Great Pyramids. This is so exciting. You go shopping at the local souk or sample the national cuisine. Overnight stay in Cairo for 2 nights at the Ramses Hilton, or again, its equivalent.
Day 9, Sunday, April 18th. Of course, we begin with breakfast at the hotel. And then we get to know the Egyptian capital with a tour of Cairo's most emblematic sites. We begin at the Giza Plateau, home of the 3 Great Pyramids, built over 4,500 years ago, and one of the 7 wonders of the world. We explore the pyramids and learn about their fascinating history as we walk in the footsteps of the pharaoh. We continue to the Great Sphinx to unearth more secrets of ancient Egypt. The rest of the day is at your leisure. If you wish to dive even deeper into the fascinating Egyptian culture, don't miss our optional visit to the spectacular new Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo, which houses over 50,000 artifacts spanning 7,000 years of history. With breathtaking views of the pyramids, it features highlights such as the hanging obelisk and the impressive Grand Gallery, making it a truly unforgettable experience.
To round off your day, you may wish to join an optional evening tour of Cairo, where you can explore the city by night. We take a long walk around the most beautiful corners of Cairo, the Tahrir Square, Zamalek, Cairo Tower, and the Opera House, before heading to the restaurant where we will enjoy a delicious dinner in an Egyptian restaurant. We will then finish the evening with a visit to the famous Mirror Cafe. Day 10, April 19th, after breakfast at the hotel, we travel from Cairo to Luxor. At the indicated time, we transfer to the airport for a flight to Luxor. On arrival, transfer to the port to board your full-board Nile cruise boat, your home for the next 4 nights. Get settled in your cabin and enjoy your lunch and the views of the River Nile. In the afternoon, visit the Temple of Karnak, a huge complex of decayed temples, columns, and other buildings. On the way back to the ship, stop at the impressive Temple of Luxor, dedicated to Amun-Ra, Mut, and Khonu, and built by Amenophis III and Ramses II. Back on the ship, enjoy the remainder of the evening at your leisure. We recommend an optional Karnak Temple sound and light show, dinner, and overnight on board.
Day 11, Tuesday, April 20th, we sail from Luxor to Edfu. We begin the day with a visit to the legendary Valley of the Kings, the burial site of the pharaohs between the 18th and 20th ancient Egyptian dynasties, and the famous site of the tomb of Tutankhamun. After exploring the valley, head to the temple of Queen Hatshepsut, set on large terraces beneath the cliffs at Deir el-Bahari. Continue to the Colossi of Menon, 2 imposing stone statues of the pharaoh Amenhotep III, before returning to the ship as it navigates toward Edfu, of course, overnight on board.
So day 12, Wednesday, April 21st, I'm going to butcher some of the words, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to sail from Edfu to Kam Ombu to Aswan. We'll disembark the ship in Edfu and take a buggy ride to the magnificent Temple of Horus, the famous falcon-headed Egyptian god. Explore the atmospheric temple ruins as you track the footsteps of the pharaohs. Return to the ship and continue sailing south to Kam Ombu. Upon arrival, we'll explore the twin temples of Haroes and Sumbek and see the amazing nilometer used to measure the rising and falling levels of the Nile, which is an important life source in Egypt. We'll then return to the ship and relax on board as you continue towards Aswan, and then we'll stay on board overnight. So day 13, Thursday, April 22nd, will arrive in Aswan. If you're an early riser, you have the chance to enjoy an optional excursion to Abu Simbel, which is home to many rock-carved temples. Today, you'll enjoy a tour of Aswan to uncover the sights of this fascinating city. You'll explore the famous granite quarry where the building blocks of many of ancient Egypt's monuments were produced, and visit both the old and the new Aswan dams and monumental engineering works built in the 19th and 20th centuries, respectively, to control the flooding on the banks of the Nile. Afterwards, we recommend you take the chance to book an optional visit to the island of Philae. It's a river island in the Nile where the ancient temple of the goddess Isis is located. We'll end the day with a peaceful ride in Felucca, a typical fishing boat on the River Nile. We'll return to the ship and enjoy relaxing on board dinner, and we'll have overnight on the board again.
Don't worry about butchering any words. I'm sure I have butchered my share.
Okay.
Day 14, Friday, April 23rd. After breakfast on board, at the indicated time, we disembarked the ship and transferred to the airport for a short flight to Cairo. We arrive in the capital and transfer to the hotel. Enjoy the remainder of the day in Cairo at your leisure to get to know the city. While away the day visiting the amazing Egyptian Museum, where it's worth spending some time to really get the most out of its unbeatable exhibitions, or you can go shopping in the busy city souks to bag a bargain. We recommend an optional excursion to the Saladin Citadel. We'll have an overnight stay in Cairo at the Ramses Hilton or its equivalent. Day 15, Friday, April 24, Cairo to home. Breakfast at the hotel, and then at the indicated time, transfer to the airport for a flight back home. Any closing thoughts, Sean?
Well, besides the fact that I'm very excited for this trip, it just sounds like the perfect adventure. It's just so curated, and then we have free days to explore as we wish. I'm just counting down the days already. I know I'm early to do so, but just listening to the itinerary just sounds like it's going to be a trip to remember. So,
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that word Shornay used, curated. As again, this is a very different part of the world, but I have gone on a long and luxurious trip with Exotica to Dubai, and the word curated is just such a great word, because just about every minute, other than the free time, which you could do anything you wanted, of course, but every aspect of that trip was just so well done by Exotica, and so I didn't hesitate when it came time to begin the planning of this bucket list trip to the continent. If you have any questions, no matter how insignificant you think they might be, please reach out to me via email, because it is likely someone else or me, even me, have that same question. My email is pthornton@dreamvacations.com. If you think you want to book this trip, all I need is your name, your passport number, the passport effective date, the passport expiration date, your date of birth, and your email. That will result in you receiving a link from me for $250 per person, non-refundable deposit. To close, in some words from Motherland folklore, soon come.
bye for now.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the three books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising book are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.